In Lesson 6 for Day 2, Examples 2 and 3, you will solve systems of equations by elimination with multiplication. Once again, the steps are to first multiply at least one equation, or in today's case, both equations, by a constant to get two equations that contain opposite terms. Add the two equations together to eliminate one variable and then solve for the other. Then substitute the value you got from step 2 into one of the equations and solve for the other variable, and then write your solution as an ordered pair. So in example 2, we have to multiply both equations by something in order to get opposite terms that you can eliminate. I could go and multiply, let's say, the top equation by 3 and the bottom by -4. Then I would end up with 12x and -12x. Or I could multiply this top equation by 3 and the bottom one by -2, and then I would be able to eliminate the y's. I think that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to multiply this equation by 3, and I'm going to multiply this one by -2. When I do that, I'll end up with opposites for the y term. 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times 2y is positive 6y. 3 times 8 is 24. Now for the second equation, -2 times 3x is -6x. -2 times 3y is a -6y. And then -2 times 9 is -18. Now I have opposite terms, so I'm going to go ahead and add these two equations together. 12x plus a -6x is 6x. 6y plus a -6y is 0y. And then 24 plus a -18, that is going to be 6. Now divide both sides by 6, and x equals 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and take that 1 and plug it into one of the equations. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to choose the second one. 3 times x, which is 1, plus 3y equals 9. So when we simplify that, we have 3 plus 3y equals 9. Now you're going to want to subtract 3 from both sides. And we have 3y equals 6. Divide both sides by 3. And y equals 2. Now we can write our answer as an ordered pair, 1, 2. You can check your work by plugging in x for 1 and 2 for y. 4 times 1 is 4, and then 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. It works in the first equation. Then 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 2 is 6. 3 plus 6 is 9. It works in both equations, so it is the solution to the system. You may want to pause the video and try the next one on your own. You could multiply the bottom by -5 and the top by 2 to eliminate the x's. Or we already have one positive and one negative here, so you can multiply the top equation by 5 and the bottom by 3 to get rid of the y's. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to multiply this top equation by 5 and the bottom one by 3. 5 times 5 is 25x. 5 times a -3y is a -15y. Equals 5 times 6, which is 30. On the bottom, 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times 5y is positive 15y. And 3 times a -10 is -30. Now, since these are opposite terms, I'm going to go ahead and add these two equations together. 25x plus 6x is 31x. Negative 15y plus 15y is 0y. And 30 plus a negative 30 is 0. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 31. 0 divided by 31 is 0. So x equals 0. Now you're going to take that answer for x and plug it into one of the equations. 2 times 0 plus 5y equals negative 10. 2 times 0 is 0, so this is really just 5y equals negative 10. Divide both sides by 5, and you have y equals negative 10. Not negative 10, negative 2. So then the solution is 0, negative 2. Once again, you can check your solution by plugging in 0 for x and negative 2 for y. Our last example says a personal aircraft traveling with the wind flies 520 miles in 4 hours. On the return trip, the airplane takes 5 hours to travel the same distance. Find the speed of the airplane if the air is still. You are asked to find the speed of the airplane in still air. So we're going to have A be the rate of the airplane if the air is still, and W be the rate of the wind. So when it was going with the wind, the rate was the still rate plus the rate of the wind, and that was in 4 hours it went 520 minutes, or it went 520 miles, or in other words, the distance equals the rate times the time, or A plus W times 4 equals the distance, which was 520. And then on the way back, going against the wind, it took 5 hours to go the same distance. So since it was against the wind, it's the rate of the plane in still air minus the wind speed is going to be its rate. And then we're going to take that rate and multiply it by 5 hours, and that's going to equal 520. So if I simplify this over here, this is really 4a plus 4w equals 520. And on the bottom, I have 5a minus 5w equals 520. Now, to be able to use elimination, I need to get opposite terms. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply, since these are already one positive, one negative, I'm going to multiply the top equation by 5 and the bottom equation by 4. And then I'll be able to eliminate the w's. So 5 times 4a is 20a. 5 times 4w is 20w. 520 times 5, that's going to equal 2,600. On the bottom, 5a times 4 is 20a. And then 4 times a negative 5w is negative 20w. And then 4 times 520, that's going to equal 2,080. Now, since I have opposite terms, I'm going to go ahead and add these two equations together. 20a plus 20a is 40a. The w's will be eliminated. And then 2,600 plus 2,080, that's 4,680. Divide both sides by 40. get A equals 117. So since A is the rate of the airplane, if the air is still, it's 117 miles per hour.